Hello, it is late at night. I have to teach you all about value man. It is Jamaican, but it is English. Specifically, inherent to the value O in value man is the ah, is value ah. That's because value is inherent to value O. Why? It's not just for phonetics reasons, because phonetics are physics. So before this, because positive is before, value before physics, and is after it as metaphysics. So metaphysics is value before physics. Sequentially, as in the nature of the Trinity, where it is one nature together, with sharing one positive identity. So value I is inherent to omega, because not the other polarity is inherent. Alpha is not inherent to omega, and omega is not inherent to alpha. This is the radical, only in demonstration of what unchanging positive is. Which alpha, when it is unchanging positive, it is value I. Value I is a part of its nature, even though it is beyond the nature of our identity. It is with it too, and it stays with it after. So we're a correlation nature within an extreme beyond us for correlation actively. So it's no joke. Inherent to the O in value man is value I, lowercase a, capital H. And that's a longing, that long part of the H. And the short part is a value N on the part where the H looks like an N. It's literally a value N, because inherent to value AN, which is the indefinite article A, value A, lowercase, or uppercase if it's the beginning of a sentence. But value A and value an, these are the indefinite articles. So an apple, because before the vowels, we're gonna put the word an before the words that start with vowels. If we're using the indefinite article, and we're gonna put value a before the consonants. Value u go either way. The letters of the alphabet share one positive identity, the same one that we share. So all the body, like not just individually speaking, all the cells of our body share one nature of positive identity. They have a share. And so when value A has what is inherent, was unchanging positive inherent to itself as its own value, then value A is value AH. It's not value A plus value O. It's something greater. And value AN, the female, value A is the male, value AN is the female. Value AN, when its identity is positive, real positive, complete positive, and then it stays positive, then it's value AH. This is how ancient sciences are juxtaposed with English. Now, I'm going to the end of it in the beginning, but the height of the H, height and length and longing, not long. Height is long. Longing. This is with the two value L's. This is how Arabic. This is how Arabic and English share, having had the religion save them. That's why God says, "I'm the Alpha and I am the Omega." This is with cipher, and this is about what's science having been obfuscating this since ancient times, and how and why, the motivations for with another nature of organized crime. This is what religions are talking about, and they are not. They're against um, what the science is force dictated to them, lies and delusions, you know, hurt conviction natures and indifference, and, and cheap, just Oz reception and teaching about what humanity is. So everybody's still in the furtherance of and as evidence fabrication natures, her conviction natures, and indifference to all that's tied to this. Blaming it on lies and delusions to all areas not by accident to ancient times, because of ancient campus corruption. We have a campus with a dunce cap in the rear, Campus Marcius. We as one are here. Religion train, we trial tribe. Religion gain. Through day and night we see the clear. Everything in life has a purpose. Everything has a point. And Earth is immediate space value nature with overall space, unchanging positive identity, gaining that value progressively through immediate space Earth in diffusion of consciousness perfectly with no criminal persuasions but for humanity. And this is the cause, especially regarding criminally legalized criminal persuasions. And what they did, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a police. What they did was to make this, to make so that holding the legal natures of the world only let train defending lies and delusions in relationship to criminal enterprises that are made up of hurt conviction natures that would only be because of the nature of the sciences and because of the nature of that internation maintained as the nature to all areas of this nation since founding. We must understand, start pounding drum what holds these lies. This is why Native American rights are forsaken. This is the real reason. Is because no one is allowed to protract truths and to ratiocinate. Everyone is forced to play political narratives that are not expressed by the law, but by popular conviction in relationship to roles with physical delusions only let realized self-defended to positions and stewardships, um, all forced to look at themselves that way, or to be played by what's holding the nature of everyone, arguing even with the people we love, not being uncomfortable with they can't take the truth, people. This is like what ages have failed to understand about like holiday discussions and things like that. There's a lot of organized crime in our areas, and it's not understood. It's blamed on the victims of it as much as the perpetrators of it, but with the worst victims of it in relationship to the stewards of it. Like right through our in the nature of what's with our course with medicine with databases and stuff like that, we have systemic uh, problems demonstrated. we can correlate the existence of them in relationship to these treatments, so long-standing ill. People, as American people, we want an American history that explains. See, they don't. They have forced summary convictions of American history that forces lies and delusions, and they force the most important things for us to understand, like um, witch trials, and like slavery and Native American rights, actual you know forsaken cause, and why and how. But we're not being allowed to understand this because our legal natures aren't, because they're being they were only let realize to self-defend training, defending, blaming it completely on its actors. You know, they're making mistakes, not just by accident too, putting innocent people in jail. There were recorded proofs of that through time. Um, and how is because of what's with the campuses, all these things that aren't even with campus. We need a safety. In other words, colonization was with methods deeper than that. And it was with methods to even the extortion of queens and kings and of chiefs. And so, of course, of all leaders, they don't have free speech because they're in negotiations. For example, recorded proofs. They're in negotiation with things like conflicting sides with nuclear weapons, and then forcing to dictate that just because that's a contrast to clean, what they call clean nuclear energy, which is not clean, and it's not peaceful because then they have to defend it. They have to be insidiousness with all kinds of police to defend all kinds, because if look what happened even when it's not being attacked, if it could be attacked. People don't understand, like with Fukushima and I forgot the other name. There was two, but a tidal wave comes, and they're going to be near water because they need the water to keep coming, keep coming, keep coming to keep this thing. Because whatever they do, according to them, if they don't keep the water coming on the nuclear material, just keeps going, it'll burn right through the container, and the whole world gets messed up. When the tidal wave hit Japan, long-lived isotopes were released into the ocean. People understand because everyone's taught not to think and to rely on other experts, and with everyone never having been trained, but to defend forced, glorified lies and convictions, because no one ever was told or to understand the impositions of our founders, the real free speech, what it needs. So they ask people to memorize who aren't lawyers. We have all kinds of influences over the nature of our police to have to be addressed, and they're forcing them to natures trained as self-defense natures in the furtherance of all kinds of tricks to subvert people's rights and facts and truths. Marbury versus Madison says something like, I'm not a lawyer, but it says something like, real justice must satisfy all appearances of real justice. In other words, if you're a policeman, you're lying in any way. When you're in the court and you're lying anyway, just because someone's telling you from inside the court to do that, they're blaming this on medicine and on psychology, when they demonstrably failed our streets too long, and with sick natures of people per recorded proofs, that don't have to be proven in court first because they admitted to it. So we need facts treatments, but no one responds. You know what I'm saying? That was attached to fake and forged conversations about that weren't at all about 9/11, about about my family, and about legal cases. And this is in conjunction with all kinds of other people doing it. So what it's connected to too is proofs of how through time we've had police forms in associated with Wethersfield and with intercities. and, and they've been in the furtherance of, per them too, for recorded proofs, evidence fabrications, and, and natures of crime, of lying, of evil, and motivations for it that we have to understand. You know what I'm saying? This is the problem. Then they force the physical delusions, like about going after bullying. Now they're having an agenda that's not going after safety. It's saying up front, we can't control the people. You know what I'm saying? It's blaming it on lies and delusions that aren't real. And because they're doing that, they're trying to go after the kids that they say they put into records are involved with it. But it's both ways. In other words, what they're putting in the records is not true. And then we have these psychologists with kids in the schools, and then they have involvements with drugs and stuff through time that they just say, oh, everyone, no one's going to go into all these details. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's important to address the facts when someone needs to have a specific fact addressed that no one can take. Because this is how you find the natures of what really are the problems. This is how I learned so much. But when people lie, tells truths. And it's right, that's all the political parties are asking, forcing yet, is fraud. Of every nation is still fraud. And this is based on how originally we were forced to internation shared policing and to force criminal markets positions. They denatured the Native American landscape to force this. See the Mashantucket Pequot Tribal Museum, the oldest Native museum in America, right next to the Mohegan tribe too. And then we have to figure out what to do for the rest of the Connecticut tribes. And then even them, still, money is not. It demonstrably didn't fix the impositions upon Native Americans. There's still demonstrably lies and delusions and hurt convictions in the modern day attached to justifications and fierce defenses of summary convictions with American history that are worse than wrong. They're insidiously to the furtherance of tactical, linguistic tactics and legal tactics that that colonization's terror laws wanted, with all those tons of terror laws. Every single person was a slave. And I'm not saying that there aren't standing worse impositions upon the people who were singled out by color, because that was the tactic, because that was to cultivate us as our own breaching positions and justifications of her conviction natures and illogics incapable of defending real justice and not seeing what justice has maintained itself in conjunction with and as international prison natures and medical natures. People don't have time to even think about this stuff. How scary it gets too. You should see the things through time that we have no words for, because everyone's only been allowed to be realized, to speak for the emotions, not for positive, complete positive. It's forsaken. We have natures of agencies that are against a perfect world because they can't take it, because that's how they were trained. That's how they were only realized, compromised. That's how it was with our founders. They had forced negotiations with terrorists. The same nature of police that dictate that we don't negotiate with terrorists today. They're in a worse form of, more insidious form of it, and entrenched, with suits and ties, and have everyone with expert lean, and you can't see that our negotiations and business further. We have to admit, all nations, we have to admit business is broke. I mean, humanity is a negative value nature progression, killing the whole earth because we are a negative value nature from the campus out. Campus showed all these things, revealed English. and revealed all these revelations, and they were criminally denatured what was actually demonstrated to us, and it doesn't flux. It keeps we take it evolves only, otherwise it leaves. That's why humanity has all these negative value nature progressions. Physical delusions think that money and that business can fix these things. That's not what. The only thing that ever helped America was the truth. The only thing that ever helped was freedom of speech, which was still forsaken, which is still forsaken in every country too, because they can't explain internation campus corruption. Religions had to take counterfronts to hold us to the potential to realize this. We have to realize it now together real fast. We don't have time anymore. Forget about it. We can't have an election run with these crazy debate things and top-down lies, because they're attached to interstate ones. In other words, they're attached to stewardships with states that are all guys, all in conjunction to too many positions. Then they want to have a fight. You know what I'm saying? That's divide and conquer tactics. Because in reality, in relationship to too many realities, that's what they are. There's only guises with all these types, with the military and all stuff like that. They kill people because their education failed them. Because that's why no nation has the stability. They call stability is what they're being trained to call stability, because they get them self-defense natures, like evidence fabrication natures. It's not to hurt anybody's feelings. The species value nature is broken. We need metaphysics to fix us. And to do that, we have to look through lies. So, but not we can't do it because no one has forgiveness and everything. We have to understand we're broken. See, if we could stop the course of nations and just, stop kicking everyone out of our homes, know that all these homes are not, we're all brought by divided means, and worse. These are colonial standards with our homes. See, colonial, they made, before we even had cars, a truck. If they built it any different too, they would have been killed. Their whole family would have been hurt. That's what colonial laws were like, And we must understand that they also seeded lies for long-term illusions. So people would say, we'll take different positions for the same ends. It's for the same lies and delusions. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be able to read. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a police. I'm not a criminal. But we have to be able to read what criminal insidiousness is. Because it's a motivation caused, a nature caused, like a wrongdoer. You don't even have to understand the criminal enterprise to be a wrongdoer, especially criminally legalized enterprises. With higher up police forms and stuff like that, they persuade the rest of the stewards. They just take. That's where guys comes from too, because then you have to You're going to do what you're told, and what's going to be told to you, because they're in the maintenance of lie progressions and positions with original terrorism. It's a nature that has to lie in relation to facts, and it hasn't been taught how to, and it hasn't been taught to admit that. That's what our founders wanted. That's what James Madison wanted with Marbury versus Madison. They have them all wrong. But it's because of the campuses. It's because of the natures of organized crime with human education too, not just the campus one, internation. It was to look, it's theater. It's theater. It's internation species. It's an entire species captivation method that nations fell to. Even kings, even pharaohs, even messengers did not have control of education. That's what religions came about to save. This is what real sane science concludes. This is what Jesus is talking about when he says, I am the Alpha and I am the Omega. This is about the alphabet.
that was sabotaged. What drove 500 from about 500 to 1000 AD was the Dark Ages. Europe, everyone was brought into oblivion. The education was sabotaged tactically to control human conviction nature. In other words, per a method to hold the species value nature system perpetually blaming each other for what stays evidence fabrication natures between nations. You know what I'm saying? This is why really what's behind the evolution of these organized crime fronts and stuff like that. The newest ones and the standing ones and stuff like that. These are standing exploitations of humanity in relationship to databases that have like there was, in other words, there were ones with slavery, and we have legal natures that are training us to say, oh well, slavery was about the Revolutionary War. No, slavery was about after it was about our legal natures never having the sophistication, only let being trained realized to the self-defense of convictions and of evidence fabrication roles with foreign criminal terrorism, negotiating with terrorism. That's exactly what the problem was. That's what put those terror laws here in the first place. That's what kept it through slavery, through the revolution, having both sides play that as the issue and not real facts treatments, which is our international force positions, low terror policing juxtaposed with international organized crimes and terror prisons for a reason, and terror medicine with the courts for a reason. That was their motivation for witch trials. They were forced to it because they were being methodical tools, everyone playing a theater of sides and types and experts and stuff like that, and no one understood. So even the courts, they were forced to play. No human really wants to have a witch trial against someone. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're a justice. What do you know? You have the control to make everything, to make a garden that never came. Why? Because the justice never had freedom. They were terrorized. I'll give them that. I mean, we have to give them that, even though they give us nothing. They don't give it right. We don't have free speech, so we don't have a religion defended. We have all kinds of cheap tricks to force arguments about, to make it look like there's passions involved, and with the needs to lie. We have liars across the boards of nations from sciences. Sciences is the problem. I'm not blaming people. This is what people pray for, not just what everyone gave up to. So to stand from prayer is to leverage the means. To admit all nations broken. This is not garden. See Native American dreams. Now wise you can get, really trying to understand, to speak for the laws of Native American dream, unrelenting for the landscape and for real human rights. That's the law, and that's forsaking. The inherent, what is inherent to the flooded forest is free, but what is inherent as the land's value nature system will not let it out.